Morning Show. Congressman Brad Wenstrup. Congressman Wenstrup, belated happy Veterans Day to you. I know you serve your country and you continue to serve, and you've got an event to talk about today relating to veterans. Good to have you back on. I hope you and the family are well.
We're doing okay. Thanks very much. It was a nice Veterans Day. I actually had the chance to speak in Blue Ash, and they had a really outstanding crowd there yesterday, which was nice to see.
I love hearing that. And, I was just so neat yesterday. I commented yesterday as I was, doing the morning show. It's the only time of the day I'm usually on Facebook. But all the people that posted pictures of, like their grandfather and, their sons or daughters who are currently serving, people who are, long since gone. Ed Fink posted this great picture of himself back when he was in Vietnam with his big old handlebar mustache. It's just some great stuff going on yesterday. So it always puts a smile on my face when I see these proud folks honoring their relatives and their family members on Veterans Day. So you got something going on, the National Veterans Museum going on this weekend with the Ford Oval of Honor. And the Ford is great. They are really, really wonderful at supporting veterans. They've been at this for years and years.
They have, and I know you've been involved with it, Brian. I was honored to be inducted into the Ford Oval of Honor a few years ago, and we were down at the Reds.
Down at the Reds game, I was down there this year again. I was so happy because they keep inviting me just to say a few words, but what a great experience and just to be there.
Well, you've gotten to meet some really outstanding people, haven't you?
Oh, my word. Yes, absolutely.
Well, and Ford, I think good for them because I think they appreciate sacrifices that people made. And this is an opportunity with this event for people to share some of that celebration, if you will, with their family. And so this year, it's going to be held at the Veterans Museum, National Veterans Museum and Memorial in Columbus, Ohio, which if you have not been there, people should go. It is outstanding. I was there before it opened, and I had the honor of speaking at the event last year. And this year, there will be like 40-plus veterans that will be honored and recipients of this honor. And it's this Sunday, the 14th, and it's their, I'm not sure how many of these they've actually had. This is their fourth brunch, but I think they've been doing this, Brian, for quite some time, because one of their first recipients was one of the Doolittle's Raiders, Tom Griffin, who's since passed away, but he's one of their first recipients of this. And, he's an outstanding man. These are the guys that attacked Japan right after Pearl Harbor.
Oh, yeah.
But this event is really quite an honor. And this year, I know amongst the recipients is a Tuskegee Airman, much-deserved recognition. And their speaker is going to be General Lester Lyles, who's the commander of the Air Force Material Command at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. And their Lieutenant General Michael Ferreter is the CEO of the museum right now, and he does a phenomenal job, and he'll be speaking as well. But it's just a wonderful event, and it's a great recognition. And I want to applaud Ford for doing this, and to do it with the National Veterans Museum is a great thing. People should know that, here it's right here in Ohio, and it's a national museum, and they do an outstanding job, and it's just such an honor to go through that. I do recommend people see it sometime, and it takes you through all of our wars and pays recognition to all of those that served.
Well, that's fantastic, and I appreciate you spreading the word to my listeners about it. Now, is this an event that is open to the public, or?
This is by invitation only, but it's obviously the museum is open to the public. But this is a brunch that they have, and people that are being recognized are there, and they have their families with them, and some of the past recipients go as well.
Fair enough. So all the information, I guess we can put a link to the National Veterans Memorial and Museum on my blog page. If you want to go directly there just to learn about it, it's nationalvmm.org. That's the direct link to the museum itself. So, again, thanks to Ford, and salute them for their ongoing support of America's veterans. And we got other things to talk about. I know Congressman Brad Wenstrup, you have a thing to say about. Let's dive on into it. Vaccine mandates. I have never told anyone not to get a vaccine. Haven't gotten one myself because I had COVID so bad. And in fact, just recently, Dr. Wenstrup, I got my titer test. My doctor ordered it along with my blood work because I had a physical. And lo and behold, they said a number above 50 reflects some immunity. Below 50, you don't have any or very little. I had 14,800 of these little things floating around. So I feel like I'm fairly well protected, even on coming up on the anniversary, the 1-year anniversary of my my coming down with COVID. So I mean, let's just ask the question out loud. Do I really need a vaccine at this point?
Well, neither President Biden nor his wife, but non-medical doctor, Jill Biden, are medical practitioners. Yet they seem to be practicing medicine with this mandate, and they're trying to treat patients that they've never seen, which really they've separated patients from their doctors with this. Let me be right up front. I am pro-vaccine, advocated for the vaccine, but that's a decision between you and your doctor. And like any other medicine, you go over the risk versus benefit and possible side effects. Right? That's what should be taking place in America, but it's not. And this mandate is a threat to our national security. You're going to have people all across federal agencies, intelligence community, military, that I guess are going to be told to leave if they don't get the vaccine. But here's what makes it even less scientific with what they're doing. COVID-19 is not going away. Even vaccinated people get COVID. We know that. Now, they don't get as sick, fortunately. We also know who the most vulnerable are, whether they're vaccinated or not, as far as getting seriously ill. Yeah. And at the same time, viruses produce variants. So COVID-19 is not going away. Even if 110% of the globe was vaccinated, we still have to deal with this issue. And I think our focus should be on therapeutics. We have monoclonal antibodies, make sure we have enough for people. And we've got to recognize if we're seriously looking at where we stand as far as immunity and protection, we have to look at natural immunity. Yours is a perfect example, Brian. Why should you lose your job when you have greater immunity than probably most people that have been vaccinated? Yeah. This is really ridiculous, and it's an insult to the intelligence of the American people.
Well, but before we get to the therapeutic part, because that's one thing that I really want to I was hoping that you would bring up and we could dive into. It's also been reported widely, and I'm sure you've seen it, because, I mean, national headlines and news, the various vaccine, regardless whether it's Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer, they wear off over a seemingly very short period of time. It's like 6 months or so. 80% had 80% of the vaccine had worn off. I stare at my own situation and see that apparently my immunity hasn't worn off coming up on a year. So that means mine's better than the vaccine.
Well, probably the ideal situation for someone is if you've gotten the vaccine and then you got COVID, because you were less likely to get as sick. Right?
Okay, right.
But then you've got COVID, and now you build up natural immunity. That's like a twofer. And so it seems to me that's someone that's pretty well protected. But we have to take all of these things into consideration. And this administration, unfortunately, is acting like we're going to beat this thing completely if everyone just gets vaccinated, and that is not true. So why are we not looking at all the science? Why are we not advocating for more therapeutics, just like we have Theraflu for the seasonal flu, right?
Yes.
The seasonal flu has variants, but we have treatments for it. We also have vaccines for it, but people still get the seasonal flu. So I think we've got to take a more scientific approach from the government level, and maybe we need an Operation Warp Speed to develop more types of therapeutics and, continue in that direction rather than just trying to indoctrinate people with forced tyrannical mandates to get vaccinated. That's hardly bedside manner, and this is a situation that belongs between the doctor and the patient.
All right. Now, here's the scenario. You've got a vaccine that doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. It just lessens the severity of the disease. That's what a therapeutic is for. It lessens the severity. So if you have something that will keep you off of a respirator, notwithstanding the existence of a vaccine, you've got something that does exactly what this vaccine does, which is lower the impact of it on you.
Correct.
What's the hell's the difference? If I could take hydroxychloroquine and it would keep me out of the hospital, I'm suffering through COVID, but I'm not suffering as badly. I'm not using up hospital space. I'm not on a respirator. Same damn thing for the vaccine. I catch COVID after I get the vaccine, but I'm not going to be in the hospital. Doesn't sound like me like there's really any distinction between the two.
Well, there is. I mean, I do believe that many lives have been saved from the vaccine. I don't have any doubt about that.
Can't argue that.
And I think a lot of people did not get COVID because they took the vaccine. But a small percentage from the trials, we knew, you hear 95% efficacy. That means that 5%, and I could run through the numbers, but 5% still got COVID anyway, and they were less likely to be hospitalized. So for many, there is a therapeutic effect rather than a total preventive effect.
Right.
Exactly.
But if I have a therapeutic drug that provides me with the relief that we're talking about, which is it's not a societal burden. I'm not using up a valuable hospital bed. Again, I go back to what's the difference?
Well, and you're exactly right. And at the same time, aren't we trying to preserve lives?
Yes,
that's really what it's about.
All right, now.
Are we trying to preserve lives or just get people vaccinated? That's the question that should be asked.
All right, now with that in mind, how come from day one they have ridiculed anyone who suggested a therapeutic might do exactly what we're talking about right here, keep people out of the hospital? They kept screaming and screaming and screaming, we need to free up these hospital beds. Okay, well, why in the hell are you so adamantly against fill in the blank, therapeutic, monoclonal antibodies or hydroxychloroquine or any of the other ones that people have talked about? And the other component of this is, as I have been told time and time again, and I find it hard to believe, pharmacies won't fill the prescription?
Yeah, this is coming from politics on high. It is unbelievable. You know, doctors have always used things off-label when they felt it could have some benefit.
Yeah,
it's not uncommon. You know, and I could go into some examples that I did. You know, where you use a heart medication to increase circulation to the foot, right? When you need it. So we've always done this, and we've done it unencumbered. And for this to come down is like some kind of mandate. You know, this is coming from people that aren't treating patients, by the way. So I have doctors throughout Ohio and all around that said, look, I've been using hydroxychloroquine. It works. It does no harm, and it's been helpful. I've been using ivermectin. You know, this is patients, the doctors telling me this. Using ivermectin, it does no harm, and patients are getting better with it. Why would they not do that? They're the ones that actually holds the patient's hand and says, I'm going to stand with you and do everything I can to get you well.
Well, and then that's the relationship that you're talking about being interrupted by government officials. Your doctor has that conversation with you and says, here's your prescription for, ivermectin. And then a pharmacy won't fill it. Isn't the pharmacist then blocking your receipt of health care that your doctor recommends? I don't know. Can they even do that? I mean, absent some conflict with other medications you have, and a pharmacist can say, no, ivermectin is known to interact with, whatever that drug is that you're on. You need to know this, or I need to talk to your doctor about it. But denying you the opportunity when your doctor has prescribed it. I got a prescription in my hand. You mean you won't fill it?
Well, I think the administration, and as they filtered down, have done this because they're so dug in on being vaccinated, and they worry that if you allow these treatments, then people will say, well, I can get treated. Why do I need to get vaccinated?
Right.
I'm telling you, that's what I hear. This is inappropriate. Yes, we're for vaccines. Yes, we're for therapeutics. You can coexist with both. But again, if you have a conversation with your doctor, you discuss the benefits and the risk of all of these types of treatments, therapies, vaccines, etc. And that's where the conversation should take place, not coming from the administration, from non-physicians that never saw the patient, not from Facebook, and really not from President Biden or President Trump. I mean, this is your health care. It's personal. It belongs in the doctor's office.
Well, and I could argue that they're practicing medicine without a license.
Well, I think that's absolutely a legitimate thing to say. Yeah, it's not a really far stretch to say something like that is taking place. When you start dictating care to a patient you've never seen or talked to, that to me is a little bit of a breach.
Well,
as a physician, I would never do that.
Someone should file suit. I mean, there's got to be a vehicle to stop that from happening. And how about, before we part company, I know you got to take the kids to school, so we only have this one segment. I'm going long intentionally. H.R. 5908, the Stop Vaccines Mandates Act. Yeah. Any traction on that one?
Yeah, we're getting some traction. Hopefully when we get back next week, we'll be pushing it amongst the members of Congress. And, it's probably not going to be much more than a statement because with Pelosi in charge of the House,
well, true.
she just falls in line and not likely to say, "Oh yeah, we got to get this on the floor." So we'll keep making the statement, and we need everyone to speak up. And I think America is. And maybe one indication of that, Brian, is what happened in Virginia.
Yes, no question about it. And then I wish we had time to talk about the stupid mask mandates when those masks clearly cannot possibly block the spread of COVID, given the gaps and the way people wear them and fondle around with them, especially young children. I just find that to be almost child abuse, if not definitionally so. Perhaps some other day. We also have spending to talk about, so we need you back on the program as soon as possible, Congressman Brad Wenstrup. And again, thank you for your service to our country. I truly appreciate it. I know my listeners do as well.
Always a pleasure to be on. You know I'll be back.
Take care, my friend. 7:21.